Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I was going to be on the lectern again there. It was 10,541 miles away in Melbourne 2 weeks ago. I had to take the chairman's lectern at the Clydesdale AGM. I think it's really ironic that we're here today in the Ethical Society and we're discussing banks. And even in the last meeting we had in September, we were in the Church of England building, and I think we were looking probably at that point for some divine intervention. A friend of mine was telling me recently that he was speaking at an event like this, and he was telling me he was introducing himself. He said, "I have a terrible week. On Tuesday I went to see my bank manager," he says, and it didn't go very well. And he said to the meeting, he said, "You know, bank managers, I think they're arseholes." And a guy at the back of the hall put his hand up and said, "I object to that." And he says, "Why, are you a bank manager?" He said, "No, I'm an arsehole." If this wasn't such a serious issue, that would be laughable, but there you go. As all of our panellists have confirmed, we do seem to be at last getting somewhere. And although it just can't come quick enough for some of us. NAB Customer Support Group has been on the go now for a good number of years. However, it's no great secret that it was losing its direction a bit. And a number of us decided around this time last year to try and reinvigorate things and get things moving again. Otherwise, if we hadn't done that, the outlook wasn't looking good. The bank would have potentially gotten away with, I reckon, one of the crimes of the century. We're certainly not going to let them get away with it. So many issues that were existing had to be sorted out, and some new were emerging, and that is where we are now. With the SME Alliance, we have found that many people have similar problems with different banks, albeit, as I said, similar issues. You with these banks were well ahead of where we thought we were in the reparation process. So it was in May last year, and it seems an eternity away, that I first attended my first SME Alliance meeting, and I found it actually uplifting. Kevin Hollenrake, who was here earlier, and Anthony Stansfield, who's still here, I think, I was amazed that they mentioned Clydesdale Bank, and they featured them in their presentations. The great unspeakable, as far as I was concerned, was being spoken, and that actually was so encouraging. So suddenly we found so much common ground. So for instance, the RBS customers here today, David Thorburn, who was the CEO of Clydesdale Bank when most of this, my kids would call it, stuff went on, he was the best man at Fred Goodwin's wedding. So you're not going to tell me that these guys don't go and have a glass of Chardonnay in the wine bars of Edinburgh that none of us can afford, maybe apart from Abhishek, wherever he is. But these guys, there's no doubt they talk. The West Register company you all know about in the RBS cases, we've got St Vincent Developments. St Vincent Developments was a company that was set up. Thorburn, his predecessor, Lynn Peacock, who was the CEO of Clydesdale, on the board, asset stripping developments and companies, and basically punting them on very quickly for horrendous profits, leaving the original developers and owners basically destitute. So I'm sure in sharing of dodgy practices, like I said, and the chat of what's new in the garage, they're both petrolheads, took place over the years. The other people I think that are getting away with murder are the insolvency practitioners, the surveyors who are the RICS, and I notice when we have these banking debates, they're called RICS down here. You know, it's the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, and they need to be called out as that because they're not acting like a royal institution should do. And obviously we've got the lawyers as well. They've all been complicit. Interestingly enough, I'll come to it in a minute, when I was down in Australia, we met an amazing bunch of people called the Bank Warriors, and they have been to in 90 days they were at 4 AGMs, and are now today in Canberra at Parliament, basically putting their case over, and they're looking for a Royal Commission to get reparation in relation to insolvency practitioners, surveyors, and the lawyers as well. So our problems are worldwide. Interestingly enough, Debbie Crosby, who was the she was actually the Executive Director of Customer Trust and Confidence for NAB Europe, National Australia Bank, who were the parent company of Clydesdale, she's now taken up a new post as the CEO of TSB. And it's interesting that Nikki and co are engaging with them. She's on gardening leave at the moment, but she's actually just had a pay rise from Clydesdale. You just could not make this up. She lied through her teeth, basically, on the Treasury Select Committee on the 17th of June 2014. Herself and Thorburn were there, and again, as Trevor said, they got away with murder. They were asked the wrong questions, and the follow-up questions weren't. So we've actually put it to the Treasury Select Committee that they should be wired up now to experts who have the questions and the answers, so that when they come back with the obfuscation, we can actually nail them. And that's actually been looked at by the Treasury Select Committee at the moment. Now, how appropriate in the afternoon after Debbie Crosby and David Thorburn were in, Sachs and Sullivan, I never knew who Sachs and Sullivan were, but hearing it and then looking at the footage, Sachs and Sullivan come in from RBS to follow them. What a day for the Treasury Select Committee that was. I heard an apology this morning on the radio, and it was from the Lloyd's CEO, and I thought, was this going to be the big day, apologising? And he was basically going to say, I was holding my breath, the Lloyd's H-Boss victims were going to be compensated, but no, it was just a big announcement about a wee IT issue. So we are all suffering in the same ways over all these banks. I think now, though, that it's without a doubt an opportunity for one of these banks to rise out of this mire. They're all tainted. Or perhaps it's time for a challenger bank to instill some pain and take some market share. Anyone with kids will know about Monzo now, and there's the Tide Bank this morning in the news increasing their market share pace. That's the future, though. We're in the present, and we're still looking at the past. So it's in that vein that we thank the APPG who are here today again. Great support from them, and specifically Kevin Hollenrake. And we've had 5 banking debates in Parliament in 2018, and I'm sure you're like me, we don't want any more. Interestingly enough, that was my first one in Parliament, and those of you, there's some faces there I recognise. The gallery was full. It was my first time ever in the gallery, and prior to that it was delayed because there was the Solicitor General had to make a comment about a Libyan rendition issue where this lady had been badly treated, and they gave her £1 million of compensation, and she was there on her own in the gallery. We were there en masse, and this was about a £1 million payout. As soon as this happened, I was on the phone. Sky News, BBC went nuclear, absolutely nuclear. Following that, there was the crime of the century. Affects us all, to do with banking. And Kevin, at that point, that was the day, actually, I think, unearthed the Turnbull report. And there was so much, 7 parties went across the House that day and supported our cases. Yet the Sky News and BBC didn't report a thing. It was ridiculous. Anyway, some of you might know that in Scotland, Glens are low points. And John Glenn, as far as I'm concerned, has been a low point. And thankfully now he, I think, has now been taken out of the equation. And we're moving on, and we're dealing with higher authorities now. So, Anthony Stansfield, can't obviously speak without mentioning him. This man fought and defended the realm of our country in the Falklands, and now he's fighting for us here in home soil. It seems like I've known Anthony and Kevin, these 2 bank warriors, for a lot longer than the year. This 1 year that I've known them, and to be honest with you, I, for one, am absolutely indebted to them. They have really, they've really helped our cases in such a strong fashion. So I could speak for hours on this, and I won't do it. The fact is, the other day there, we were watching Mastermind. I don't watch a lot of television now. I'm too busy doing emails and reports and newsletters. And you've got to look at the humour in these situations. My wife and my daughter were with me, and the specialist subjects were really amazing. And I know I couldn't answer any of them. And my wife said to my daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, if your dad went on to Mastermind, his specialist subject would be the misdeeds of Clydesdale Bank. So if you can't laugh, you're going to cry. So just a wee bit to finish about our NAB Customer Support Group team. We're actually changing our name at the end of this month. We're going to turn the focus on CYBG, who are now the company who are basically holding all the cards in relation to all these misdeeds in the past. And you'll see a wee bit more about that coming out. I'll mention it later. Our 3 newsletters that we've just put out, Nikki has them, and the SME Alliance have them, and we're more than happy to share them with the SME Alliance members. We have 200 members, so between us, we've nearly got 500 members. We've got 140 tailored business loans, of which the average loan was 1.53 million. There were 20,362 direct job losses, and who knows how many in the supply chain. So that just gives you a wee flavour of what we're all about. We now, though, have the expertise, and even expertise that this bank doesn't have, that we found them to be wanting in so many ways. And if you couple this with the modern communication we've got, we're going to break them. What's incredible about the whole scenario is the progress also has been made through this Brexit thing. I mean, the politicians obviously have been distracted, but we're still pushing on. So, as I said earlier, we were out at Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. A colleague of mine came with me. If you want to have a look, it's on YouTube. We had a bit of a giggle. We gate crashed their party and caused a bit of, a wee bit of discomfort for them, which was good. And one of the great aspects of this trip was meeting these bank warriors in Australia. So if you go on Twitter or wherever else, hashtag bank warriors, and you'll see them. They're doing great work. They always wear bow ties as well. So, basically moving on, the group meeting we're having in the 28th of January in Glasgow, again, if anybody's moved out, we spoke to somebody earlier, you want to come along, feel free. Stuart Hosey of the Treasury Select Committee is coming along to speak to us, and we've got somebody over from the Democratic Unionist Party. Prior to that, the day before, Kevin, hopefully, is having the bank, the FOS, the FCA, ourselves, and himself. So there's 5 parties that are going to be there, so we'll keep you well informed of that. So, I think I'll leave it at that. There's so many other things you can talk about. The tax take. We've been put down as tax dodging, inefficient business owners. We're nothing like that. They lent us millions months before they started asset stripping us. They pulled, the plug. The Chancellor's, in the news today saying, he's trying to put a positive spin in the slowest annual rate of UK growth in 6 years. So, basically, SMEs are the lifeblood of this country, and we need to get this resolved. So, as Nikki and Kevin alluded earlier, I sincerely hope that when this DRS steering group for the historical cases kicks off, then it's imperative that good, concise information is provided by the victims ourselves to ensure that the cases get a proper hearing. So please therefore help us when that time comes. You're helping yourself. The detail that you will need will be good case histories, datas and form data that, for instance, Nick is going to send out to you if he hasn't already done so, and we've issued them to our members as well. The letter, we talked about the template for the MPs will be provided, and if you need any assistance with this, please, please, please just ask. So, as Kenneth Wolstenholme said, as I said at the last meeting, they think it's all over. Well, it's not now, and it won't be until we get justice. And I thank you, the SME Alliance, for this opportunity today, and look forward to working with you and the APPG to get these issues sorted. And stay strong and wait for the cavalry to arrive. Thank you very much.